Kate Mila Falcha, welcome to Irish Granny Helen. Welcome to Debbra Lupien, voice of the Akashic Records.
Hey,
Hello,
everybody.
Deborah.
Hello.
Beautiful background. Can you describe it for us?
Yeah, I believe it's a page out of the Voynich Manuscript, which is, of course, this big enigma.
All this time, I've been calling it Voynich.
Oh, I don't know what it is. I could be wrong.
I don't either. So potato. You do potato, I'll do potato. It doesn't matter. Because who's going to get mad at us? We don't know. This is an enigma. This is a big mystery. So anybody who doesn't know what I'm kidding around about, I made a video, and you can go back and watch it, about this really strange manuscript, and it's too complicated to go into its provenance, like who owned it and then who got it and how that happened. It's very, very complicated. But in short, it's this mysterious manuscript. It's the earliest form of an actual book called a codex. One of the earliest, where they bound one end and you had pages. That was not typical. It's before the printing press. It's all done by hand. It's this weird combination of all this writing, I don't know what to call it, all this writing, and then drawings. And nobody knows what the writing says because nobody's been able to translate it since, well, they think it was written in the 1400s or the 1500s. They're not entirely sure. It is in an alphabet that looks like an alphabet, but is not any alphabet anybody knows about. It's been thoroughly studied for testing, scientific testing, carbon dating, radio, they MRI'd it. They've checked to see how old is it. It's on vellum, which is very high quality calf skin, pork calf. And all of the pages, they're able to tell, I don't know how, but they're able to tell that all of the pages, and there's several hundred, couple hundred, are from the same batch. And all the experts say it's incomprehensible that there would be that big of a batch of that high quality vellum just sitting around waiting for somebody to fake this thing. And they think it's genuinely an old thing. The vellum seems to date back to when it was supposed to have been written. They tested the ink. They tested the paint. There are experts who can look at a language and tell you, yes, this follows the pattern of either a Western language or an Asian language, but Chinese. They can tell the difference in the pattern of how words are repeated. They can say, yeah, this looks like the right structure. There's a predicate, there's a noun, there's a vowel, The sentences seem to flow like a read or spoken language would flow. It's so that what they're saying is it's not gibberish. They don't think it's a secret code, but it could be, but they don't think so, but they're not sure. It is very much up in the air. So I thought it would be really fun if we tried to find out. So how would you do that? Who do you connect with if we don't know who we're looking for?
Well, two ways we can try. We can try asking the manuscript itself, just to see if it's there. Why not?
I don't know.
That was just one thought. We can try that. I think that's worth pursuing to see we might get something. What does the manuscript want to say? And then we can ask in my records what information is available. So we've always got the higher source to go to get more information.
Okay. There's a lot of technical detail that I read about, and I really watered it down so it wouldn't be boring, but I presented, the ins and outs of how it was put together and what books were like in those days and, all that stuff. So I have a few questions, but, well, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I have my first question. Shall I start?
Yes, let's start.
So It's called a codex. A codex is the earliest form, of a book. As we would recognize it, people had papyri, they had scrolls. They had, what was that thing called? It was kind of like a concertina. It's where pages would be folded like a fan almost inside a cover. But this is a true codex. All the pages are separate pages and they're all stuck together, hand sewn together on one end. So the first question are the materials genuine materials from the time period purported to be when this was written?
Okay, so that will go into the records for. So team, could you help us to understand about the Voynich manuscript? Could you tell us, is it fake or is it real?
Oh, don't ask that yet.
Oh, no? Oh, I thought that's what you were saying.
Well, there's layers of fake or real. I guess what I'm asking first is, were these pages genuinely put together from that time period, during that time period? So they dated them to 1404 to 1438. And so the question is, did somebody tuck those away for centuries and dig them out in the 1900s and fake it? We don't want to know, did somebody fake it? We just want to know, is the material genuinely from that time period?
Okay.
Or did they make a mistake,
Yeah. So team, can you tell us the materials of this book? Are they actually from the 1400s? I get a no on that. Are they from earlier than the 1400s? Yes. Could you tell us when they're from? They're saying they transcend time.
No.
So, no, that's what they're saying. They transcend time. So you're saying they were created outside of the time structure that we recognize? Yes.
Oh, that kind of wrecks my next question.
Well, that opens up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, my next question is that one of the things that made experts feel like they're genuine is the vellum itself. They say it's well thumbed. It looks like people have been turning the pages of this thing for hundreds of years. So forget that question. That's not going to be.
Well, no, that could still be true, because if it showed up here, then once it showed up, then people could have been thumbing the pages, looking at it, trying to understand.
Right. But if it transcends time, then that goes without saying, right? I mean, yes. So the script, nobody's ever been able to translate the actual lettering and put the words together. They can't even put the words together because they don't know what the letters are. They're not even sure. How letters, I forget the term for it, but letters signify the sounds, of a word. And so you get a child to learn how to sound a word out. They go, act.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they aren't even sure of that. So the question is, what is this script? The alphabet. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, what language, right?
Yeah. Is it a language?
So can you tell us about the writing in this manuscript? Is it a language? It is a language. Okay. And is it a language that has been used on the planet Earth and now or in the past? No, it is not an Earth language. It's an interstellar language.
Remember what I told you? My two choices? That's interesting. Is it in code?
Is the language encoded? No, it's an interstellar language. You don't understand it. You have nothing to compare it to. So we understand that you would make that assumption. But if you knew that language, you would be able to read it.
You'd be okay, because you know, interstellar beings could put things in their own code, you know. I mean, right?
Yeah, but they weren't trying to hide what was in it.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. There's reference in it in a couple of different places. There's some Latin. I mean, they can translate that. There's sentences here and there in Latin. And there's a term in German, der Muschstil. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's called High German. It's a drawing of a nude man. And when you translate it, it says a widow's share. So I don't know. Was that like a dirty joke? Who were those things added by humans later?
So where Latin and German show up in the manuscript, is that from the original text? No. So somebody added it later. That was after.
Was added. Do they know when? By whom?
Do you know, was it added after the manuscript came to Earth? Yes. And so was that in the 1400s, or was that much later? It was much later. Okay. So more like, was it like 1800s? It was just much later is what they're saying.
Okay, so all these people, all these experts over the centuries actually have tried to translate this thing. And you know, they started out when it first popped up. Well, we actually don't know where it first popped up. So maybe I should just ask that. Who were the first human beings who had it in their possession?
Can you tell us who were the first humans who came into possession of this book? They're saying it started in Rome, 1500 Rome.
That's actually what they think. It kind of popped up and ended up in the hands of the Vatican. Wanted their hands on it right away. It was given to the Vatican. It was given to actually an academic organization outside of the Vatican, run by the Jesuits, called the Collegio Romano, run by the Jesuits, who are all, you know, they're all intellectual. And so does that count? Is that what they mean? Where did it come from? I mean, it was given to them. They didn't make it. Where did it come from?
Yeah. So can you tell us where it originated? Who were the authors? Where did it come from? It's a distant planet. They were travelers. They would be like, well, it's not politically correct, but they're saying they would be like your Christopher Columbus of the intergalactic world. They were explorers, and they probably had many of these manuscripts, and this was just one that when they were exploring here got left behind. So did they leave it on purpose? No. So
okay.
It's accidentally left behind.
Okay.
Oh, they're saying it was stolen. So in some of their early connections with whoever was alive at that time, somebody grabbed it and took it.
Why does it not surprise me that some alien beings visiting the planet would first thing they'd experience from human beings is theft? Why does that not surprise me? So the interesting thing about this manuscript, it has this weird language in it that nobody's ever been able to figure out, but it also is full of illustrations. And the weird thing about the illustrations, okay, I'll very quickly talk about them. All these plants, And the plants look like hybrids of earthly plants. So there'll be a drawing of a plant, and the flower looks familiar. Let's pretend it's a sunflower. And the leaves, let's pretend they belong to a maple. And then the roots, they look like they belong to garlic, just incongruous, not normal. I made all that up, so who knows, right? But they're identifiable in pieces, but not as a whole. It's really weird. There are astronomical drawings on it that show actual constellations, but nobody knows what they are. And they show these 30 nude female figures holding stars that are labeled, and the star is each tethered to one of the women by a tether. Can they explain that?
Yeah. So tell us, the illustration of the woman tethered to a star. Can you explain what that means? Yeah, that would be like Gaia. It's the consciousness.
So the tether is like metaphorically associated.
Yeah, it's metaphorical. So like this is the consciousness that belongs to that star.
So they have these herbal drawings that are weird, and I guess we didn't ask why do they not go together? Are these from another planet, or are they just mistakenly putting parts of plants together that don't really go together?
Well, they're saying that it's not mistaken. As they were traveling across many, many worlds, they were documenting what they were seeing. And so
somewhere else there are plants that we would recognize in part, like our plants.
Yeah, I mean, what they're documenting is what they've seen along the way.
Which is that sort of an argument in support of the concept of panspermia? Do you know what that is? Okay, no, panspermia is this very debated idea that life on the planet Earth started with DNA that came from outer space, almost accident. Some think accidentally, some think on purpose. Now, this is completely separate from the theories of alien beings came down and hybridized us, or it may be pre that time. But the concept of the DNA for everything living on the planet all came pan, a wide amount spermia, just what it sounds like. It's the seed of life coming from outer space. Intentionally, maybe? Was it sent here, or were they stuck on a meteor from someplace else and all mixed up? Now, but in biology, and it's been a long time since I studied biology, but I remember enough to know that it would be incongruous with our knowledge to have the top of an herb with the bottom of a tulip. It just, their development from DNA level, a chromosomal level, that wouldn't happen. But what do we know? We also don't necessarily say it all came from outer space either. So my question is panspermia true?
So what can you tell us about panspermia? Is that a true concept? It is true that the planets were all seeded with life. They were originally created, terraformed, and when they were ready, then Creator seeded them with life.
But is that how it happened? Like all of a piece on a meteor or something?
So was the means of bringing the life here on a meteor, was it carried in from somewhere? No, it was far more complex than that. It was
more intentional.
it was intentional. It's like they had these intergalactic travelers who went to the planets, and they, on behalf of Creator, they were seeding the planets.
And that would not be contrary to the notion of extraterrestrial beings hybridizing humans later. That they would not be two ideas in contradiction with each other, would it?
No, not at all. No, because they came periodically to check on the progress. And so somewhere along the way, one race of beings at least decided to experiment and do some of that hybridization. But you know, the thing is, just before you go there, it's not like Creator said poof and everything just appeared like magic.
What? Didn't happen in 6 days?
Yeah, it was like creating the planets and then intelligently choosing, placing, seeding, putting all those things in place. Yeah.
Well, you know, there are theories that certain plants on certain continents are not native to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and animals too. And I can't remember what it was I read that wasn't native to Earth, but it was odd things like, I'm just making something up. This may not be one of the things that was mentioned, but like potatoes and avocados, you know, that some of the plants that we're really familiar with actually came from somewhere else, which is interesting to me. Who knows? But it's interesting. Going back to the figures of the women attached to the stars, does that mean that where this book came from, there was a spiritual belief system that ascribed goddesses like Gaia to the earth, or Luna, Selene to the moon? Did they have something similar? Is that what he's saying? It saying?
Well, not like a religion, because they were working with Creator. They were
right. No. A spiritual understanding. Yeah, that every star, every planet has like a spiritual part.
What they're saying the difference is they're not considering it spiritual, because they were like the tools of Creator going out and doing these things. So they actually did it. They don't have to believe in it as a spiritual.
No, I don't mean that. What I mean is it's like an understanding that there is a spiritual entity connected with all of these physical things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, not in the same context that we would think of as spiritual.
No. Religion is, that's a human construct. Okay. So they had these weird circular diagrams that looked kind of like rosette maps, but not really. And they showed, excuse me, I must be allergic to something. They showed castles and volcanoes and on islands and trees on islands. Was that from their home source?
So the pictures in the book of castles and trees, was that from your home planet? No, because they already had books on the home planet about their own planet. This was from their journeys, their explorations.
Oh, other places. Okay. One of the other kind of categories of drawings, they call them balneological. And when I first saw the word, I thought, oh, whales? No, it's about healing spas and springs and baths, thermal baths, going into a heated bath or from underground spring, mud, how people do mud baths, which is, I just don't understand that. But there's that. There is a whole section that's all pharmaceuticals, it appears to be. And then there's a whole other section, which is, I think, hilarious. Recipes, like cooking
stuff. How can they tell their recipes?
It must be the drawings, because I didn't see every single page. I've seen representations. You can Google images and you can see pages from it. I didn't see a page with like a recipe, but what I imagine is it's a list of ingredients, and at the end there's something in a bowl or something on a plate.
Yeah. So they just gave me a visual. think what they were doing by visiting the planets, recording the experiences and putting them in this book, conceptually is a lot like what Jane Goodall did when she went and visited with the primates and documented, learned, picked up the language,
Yeah,
the behaviors. It's a very similar kind of
sure.
experience.
When the Spanish and the Portuguese, came over and destroyed the cultures of the Americas, one of the things that they did was destroy all their written stuff. And I don't remember the name of the priest, but there was a traveling museum display around the time of the anniversary of Columbus. And they were very good about showing what they could get their hands on of the indigenous people. Well, there was a priest who thought it was a sin to do what they were doing, destroying everything. And he made little tiny books that he could kind of secret away by hand. And he talked about their belief system and he drew pictures. And it was like that, this is what they cooked and this is the medicine they had. And it was just like that. Yeah, it was really interesting. So is it safe to say the purpose of the manuscript is like a travel log?
Well, yes, in the sense that they're traveling and they're logging what they're seeing, but it's even bigger than that because they're bringing back this collective body of information about how the worlds are developing. So that's what they're doing. They're traveling, they're watching the development, and they're recording it.
Let me see. I'm just going through this here. This is all about these people who's passed it on. There's a rumor now. I know this has nothing to do with the origins of it. This is much later, but there was a rumor that it was once owned by the Emperor Rudolph, the Holy Roman Emperor. He was a Habsburg, the draw. Is that true?
So was this manuscript owned by Emperor Rudolph at one time? Yes.
So where is it now? I forget. Did I even write down where it was now? Is it in the Vatican? I think it's in the Vatican archives. Is that right?
So is it presently in the Vatican? I get a yes. I don't know why they get to hold on to all this stuff.
Well, I've got a book I'm working on about the Vatican archives.
Mm.
And it sounded really interesting. Well, I'm leading up to your question. It sounded really interesting because they have all this secret stuff, right? And I have to confess, I've never said this about a book that I've covered. I've always really liked the books I've covered. I found them at least partly entertaining. This book about the Vatican archives, mea culpa, was really poorly written. And it could have been all the new information that they had in it, the stuff that would intrigue people, could have filled half the space. There was much, much, much repetition. There were pages where they said the same thing twice. And I don't know if it was a printing error or what it was,
Probably AI, because AI, when you watch those AI videos, they repeat the same thing over and over.
Yeah, this book repeated things over and over and over. But there was enough intriguing stuff that I decided to go ahead with it. But I had to plow through all this repetition. It drove me crazy. It mentioned this manuscript, and I remembered I'd read about it before, so I pursued it. That's why I did it now. But your question, why do they get to keep it? If the book that I read is in any way accurate, and I have no way of, verifying it, there is stuff in the Vatican archive. There's the Vatican Library. We're not talking about the same thing. Yeah. Vatican Library, bunch of old books, right? Vatican Archive is underground. It's like a bunker. And I'm not going to spoil it. You have to watch my video coming up pretty soon, in a couple of weeks. Really weird stuff. And you're absolutely right. Why should they get their hands on it and not like the Smithsonian or so, some sort of an institutional museum type situation. Well, I'll tell you later. Everybody else has to watch my video.
Even
Blackmail.
Smithsonian, they have been accused of hiding things.
The
So
Smithsonian, wait to hear this. Now, I can't prove this. This is rumor, but it's rumor coming from a place that it made an impression on me. I thought, whoa, if this is true. Allegations, I don't know. I heard it on the grapevine that the Smithsonian has been known in the past to put archaeological finds, objects that don't fit the narrative, put them on a ship and sink them off the coast in Florida.
it all comes back to control.
Mm-hmm.
Controlling the people by using your own narrative, and anything that differs, that's a problem. Got to get rid of it.
I have a book that's almost 900 pages called it's Lost Archaeology or Forbidden Archaeology. And it's more like a catalog than it is like a book. I'd love to present it, but it's hundreds of pages of photographs and descriptions and measurements and where this thing is located or hidden away in a drawer in the back of a museum. And they don't fit the narrative. Therefore, they're put away. One of the things I read about, and I can't verify this, is that there is a treasure of Native American artifacts that are locked away. They have to be curated. They need an expert to go through them and say what's what. They don't have enough people, they don't have enough money, and they don't have enough space. So they sit. And the thing is, they would add a dimension to our understanding of Native American peoples. For example, everybody, I'm generalizing here, but we were raised to believe that they led kind of a primitive life. The reality is they have handmade things like mechanical toys and engines, like primitive, not like something you'd plug into the wall, but essentially what an engine is meant, what the word actually means, right? A tool that works for you. They had a number of things that I was really surprised. I did not know that these peoples had actually taken the time to build these kind of things. I never assumed that they couldn't. I just assumed that their culture went a different direction. That's not always entirely true. We have given them really short shrift.
Well, in some ways, they were more advanced because there are some populations who were connecting with star people and getting advanced information.
Shall I tell you a funny story? Or I don't know if you're familiar. I'm not the American here, and I knew this. My husband's family is connected directly back to the Mayflower, and he didn't know this. And I was like, I don't know. This is a persuasive argument for immigration, I got to say. So he likes to grow a garden in the summer, and he planted corn. This is a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago. And at the end of the season, he got pretty good corn. And I said, next year when you grow that, you should plant the 3 sisters. Mm-hmm. And he looks at me, he goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, I explained, Native Americans, and they had this relationship between the plants that supported the beans and fixed nitrogen in the soil and gave shade to the squash, and everybody was happy, right? So he goes, oh, okay. So next fall, he said, well, the corn turned out pretty well. And he said, but the watermelons didn't grow. He didn't do squash. He thought it was melons. And I'll just tell you this. I won't go into details, but in the Pacific Northwest, you really don't grow watermelons with a whole lot of good luck. There's not enough hot, long period of time. But isn't that hilarious? The watermelons didn't grow very well.
Well, he was open to trying. Yeah, the Three Sisters, I think, has become more common with gardeners. It's talked about a lot.
Yeah, and he just planted things. I don't think he actually, researched anything. He just planted it. Yeah. Okay. I have to make fun of him. That's my job. Okay, let's get back to this. So there's all these theories, which I'm not going to ask now because apparently we know the answer, but theories that Queen Elizabeth's, magic guy, John Dee, wrote it, or Roger Bacon wrote it. These are all people from the past who were considered kind of, spooky, mystical. There's another guy have all these questions about these people. Okay, so here's a question that might be appropriate. Was it a universal language, or is it from one specific place?
So the language in the book, is it universal in that part of their world, or is it a language to their planet? No, it's an interstellar language. So the collective planets, it's like here, how you establish one language that everybody shares, but that's not necessarily their native language.
So are they ever going to come back and get it?
They don't have a need to. They have others.
I bet the library fine is stiff. Huh? Is there anything in it that, obviously it's full of stuff that we don't know that we would always benefit from knowing, but is there any one particular message in it that would be a great benefit to humanity?
Is there a message in this book that would be a benefit for humanity to know? The message is really unraveling the enigma and understanding the source. The information contained in the book is more cataloging. So there's nothing overriding that would change your world by knowing about it. Knowing about the origins, though, that's important.
Can we know, would they tell us now, like specifically where it's from? Would we even recognize where it's from?
No, they're saying it's one of those that's so far out there that we don't know.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't, when they tried to decipher it, they didn't recognize some of the constellations.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So does the potential exist that a human would actually ever be able to decipher? Because it's like a triple deciphering. First, you have to figure out what the letters mean. Then you have to figure out how to put the words together. And then you have to translate it.
So is it highly likely that humanity will ever be able to translate this book? Perhaps in the future. But the contents of the book are really not all that important for you to understand. Again, the message of the book, because you do have it, is the origins, causing you to reach out, to question, to learn more. Right. The possibility exists that one day someone could come along and channel to get the contents translated.
Yeah. Well, I understand that it's not important for us to know details in the book. It's the origin and not the details. But there's a subset of humans who really like a puzzle, who like to figure out a mystery.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge. People have run it through IBM computers, and the FBI tried, and intelligence services tried. A lot of people have tried, linguists.
Yeah, but you know what? They're all missing. Go to the records. All the information for everywhere is there. So if you get somebody who has the time, the desire to sit in the records and ask to translate it, they could do that. It's not a trivial undertaking, but someone could do it. The possibility exists.
Other than the challenge, it would be anticlimactic, because have you ever read a cookbook? They're not exactly
Yeah.
They're kind of boring, you know. Although I know people who love cookbooks. Like they collect them. They like to sit and just read through them. It's like food porn or something. I don't know what it is. I don't get it. I'd rather look at a menu. Well, that was really interesting. I don't know who to thank. Thank you.
Yeah, thank the records for opening up and allowing.
Yes. Isn't it interesting? It's just a little hint of something beyond.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you can look at it for what you see in front of you and you can go off on all these tangents and imaginations, but that's why the records are so amazing, because you can just go there and get the information.
Yeah, and the fact of where it came from, it really it challenges the paradigm. But then people are not really willing. Most people are not willing to even entertain that.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I challenge everybody who's watching this, pick 5 people today and tell them that you know about this and you know where it came from, and it came from probably another galaxy, right? And watch their reaction.
Well, if galaxy is even the word they use, who knows
Yeah,
what
exactly.
how
Another
they describe it.
Yeah, maybe another dimension, right?
Yeah, they just were specifically saying interstellar for a reason. So that's part of the way they describe
So
it.
would that be galaxy then, right?
I think it's multiple. What we would call galaxies, it would be multiple, because they were explorers. Right. They were going over a large area.
Right. I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just not using the right words, just like the book, right?
Let's ask the book a question. We didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's ask the book what it thinks its purpose is.
Well, I think they said that. It's a log. Well, it's just keeping a record.
That's what the people who created it said. I want to know what the book has to say, because the book has had its own experiences now separate from the creators of it.
Okay.
So if we can, why not,
yeah.
Right?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So asking the manuscript, could you tell us what you believe your purpose is? My purpose is to be the enigma, to cause those who discover to question,
challenge,
to open up to what else is out there in the world. Planting questions. I plant seeds of questions.
Yeah, well, how frustrating must that be, landing on Earth, if that's your purpose?
It's actually a big challenge.
Yeah, we have the most incurious population in the universe, I think.
Well, there have been a lot of curious people through the centuries who were trying to translate. So
yeah,
it actually did bring a lot of interest, and that energy then gets kind of combined with the book. So in a sense, it's feeding off of the people who are trying to translate it, that energy. And that gives it more of a spark, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. That's so interesting. I hadn't thought of the book itself having a being or an entity or an energy. I just hadn't thought about it. Which means there's a lot going on downstairs in my living room, because I've got bookshelves everywhere.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
Well, when you think about anything that's created and a lot of energy gets focused on it, it's soaking up that energy and it's evolving in its own way.
So we made an impression on it too.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. And, like other energetic beings, they appreciate when you interact with them.
Well, I just think it's fascinating. I love a good mystery. And I kind of love that nobody is really going to successfully decipher it. I like that. I don't know why. It just intrigues me.
Not anytime soon anyway. And unless, of course, somebody comes along and wants to put in the dedicated time to channel it. And even then, if they channel it, it's just their word. We don't really know for sure.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Well, it's a little bit like out there with the Zodiac killers, ciphers. Are
Um,
you familiar with that?
yeah, well, it's saying that it's kind of like it's the treasure chest and the key all rolled into one.
Oh, well, that's a nice way to look at it. I like that. Well, I just thought I hope everybody is as intrigued by this as I know I was, and I think you are. It's just an intriguing thing. There's this object that is a complete and utter mystery and likely to remain so. And I love that all the experts are stumped. It's good for their makes them humble. I like that.
Just encourages them to keep looking for answers.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have any questions?
No, that's all I can think of.
Yeah, me too. So the next time we talk to you, you're going to be somewhere else, huh?
Yeah.
I'm excited. Do you want to tell everybody what you want to tell them?
Yeah, I'm going to Portugal, and I'm going to be walking on the Camino with my husband. And for me, it's a spiritual pilgrimage. For him, it's just a fun adventure, hiking. So we will see what we will see. I'm excited to find out what will reveal itself. And I wrote them in my newsletter yesterday. You know, one of the traditions of the Camino is that you bring something from home, and there's this special place on the trail where you leave it, symbolize leaving whatever that is behind, which to me would mean it's something negative you want to get rid of, or maybe a bad memory. Who knows? And I've been
are you leaving your husband?
No, he'll come with me. But I've been racking my brain. What do I want to take and leave behind? And
Yeah, what do you?
nothing. The angels have been working with me on various things for years now, so that I don't feel like there's something like that I want to leave behind. I'm actually going looking for the magic that is to be discovered and what that will bring.
Well, I have a few suggestions for you, but we'll wait until we're not recording. Speaking of recording, we're going to try, right? Try to
Yes.
connect
Yes.
while you're there. We won't promise because it's far and the technology and who knows, what'll happen. But
Well, you talk to Nate in Portugal all the time, so I don't know why you would think the technology would be hard.
Because you'll be outside in the wilderness.
Well, we're only going to be walking for maybe 10 days at the most. We're not doing the entire Camino. We're just doing the portion that you need to do to qualify to get the pilgrims. I forget what they call it, but you get a certificate at the end if you.
Yeah.
Well, the passport you use all the way along, and you get stamped in the towns. But when you get to the end, you go to Santiago de Compostela, the cathedral, and they give you this certificate stating that you successfully completed, and it has to be 100 or more kilometers.
I just have an image of you sitting in the dust at the side of the road trying to get the computer to work under a tree.
Well, no, each night we'll be staying somewhere that probably will have Wi-Fi. So, and plus, like I said, that's only one portion of the trip. We're going to be there longer just to soak it up and enjoy and see what we will see.
I'll try to come up with some questions for you that are appropriate to, like, how is the olive oil in Portugal? Well, this was fun and bon voyage. I hope you have a good flight and get settled. And I'm really jealous that you're going. I'm not jealous that you're walking, but I'm jealous that you're going. Yeah.
Yeah. We're expecting.
It's good jealousy,
Yeah. Yeah. We're expecting some interesting things to happen. And honestly and truly, I'm hoping to get some healing. So that's one of the things I'm looking for.
Well, I wish that for you. Yeah. So have a safe trip.
I think the experience will feel healing regardless of what it actually does in the body.
Well, yeah, it's have you ever heard of the walkabout they do in Australia?
I've heard they do a walkabout, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's a kind of a rite of passage, and I don't know if they do it at a specific age or if it's something you do when you feel moved spiritually to do it, but they actually go wandering in the wilderness alone for a period of time, and it's for that experience, kind of like Jesus 40 days in the desert,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, this will be a small version of that. It's a time, you know, I'm encouraging David to go talk to other people who are walking so that I can have that quiet contemplative time while I'm walking. But there will be time for it. It'll fit in.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and bon voyage. And thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope this was as intriguing for you guys as I find it. Thanks, Deborah.
My
Slán
pleasure.
foil, everybody.
Thanks to the manuscript.
Yes.